Hello, welcome back, and thank you as always for joining me. We're going to do something today that I love to do, and by the way, this is an open invitation to all of you to ask questions here in the chat in the comments on YouTube, because I'm more than willing to stop our procession through the text of A Course in Miracles, which provides 31 chapters worth of material for us to contemplate and practice and practice and practice. See where we're going with that. That provides us a lot of topics for conversation, and I'm very, very interested in what's coming up for you. So if you have particular questions that you would love to see addressed here on a video, please let me know that, and I'm happy to work them in. It's very easy to work them in, by the way. The scheduling is completely haphazard. When there's no specific topic for conversation, we go through the text of A Course in Miracles, which provides lots of topics for conversation. So today is a day where we're going to address a recent question and comment, and the subject is time. What a wonderful topic for conversation. So thank you for asking the question. And the backdrop of this is time being difficult to understand, which it is. It's actually incomprehensible to the rational thinking mind. And let me just say, so-called rational. Our intellectual mind struggles with concepts like time and space and non-duality and oneness and all of this. So we'll certainly say some more about that, because it doesn't sound right when we're given the conditioning that we're given and the way we've been indoctrinated. Yes, indoctrinated by our respective societies, by our media, especially by our media and advertising, and our school systems and our political systems, our systems of government, economics, finance, and all of that stuff that appears to govern our lives. So here, in the midst of this conditioning, all of a sudden, here you are interested in A Course in Miracles, which says a lot, and studying and practicing A Course in Miracles, which says a lot, even more. And you're here watching this video, which also says quite a lot. So how do we wrap our mind around time? It's a great question. Well, there's only one thing that we need to understand. Time is completely non-existent. There is no time, it's nothing. At the end. I mean, really, literally. Now, here in the world where we are encouraged, invited and encouraged to pursue what the world refers to as knowledge, academic knowledge, intellectual knowledge, that's not likely to be, at least at first, a sufficient explanation. There is no time. It's nothing. It doesn't exist. That's all we need to understand. There is no time. So to the extent that you find yourself thinking, but wait a minute. Well, let's elaborate. Because here we're learning, and well, learning requires some words. It does, doesn't it? Because we are so conditioned to think that we're in this thing called time and this thing called space. So you may have many questions about why this course insists that there is no time. And some of the backdrop for this conversation is in a recent video. And we talked about miracles, the miracle of true forgiveness, in fact, collapsing time in the sense that once you learn a forgiveness lesson, you do not have to repeat it. You could see this much the same way as taking a course in a traditional school, and one that's required. Remember, this is a course in miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary, from the intro to the course. By the way, what they mean by this is not that every single person that is alive has to study and practice a course in miracles. What Jesus means by it is a required course is that the spiritual path, which has many doors, many different traditions, is a required course. Awakening is a required course, and you will awaken. How can I assert this? Really, how can we assert this with 100% confidence? We've never left our source. There is no time, there's no space, there's no separation, period. End of discussion. None. Yes, the answer is that simple. So here, while we experience it, otherwise, let's take a look at the use that our inner teacher has for time, for us to awaken. That is what the illusion of time is for. It is for us to truly forgive. It is for us to clarify our perception through the practice of true forgiveness and learn to see things as they really are. Ideas leave not their source. You are an idea. The thought of God, by which we're known here in A Course in Miracles, the extension of God. Again, a term by which we're known and identified in this course. The Son of God, same. The Christ, singular, same. Which, by the way, encompasses all of us, not just the historical Jesus. All of us are the Christ. There is no time. It is a separation device. And of course, here as we experience it, it appears to be linear. We appear to be living in 1 minute right now in a particular time frame. And here in the world, we've gotten together and created calendrical systems, of which the Gregorian calendar, which we're using right now, is just one of many, made up, all of them. When you really think about it, what is a minute? Hour? Day? Millennium? These are all terms that we've invented. What's a second? And who decided that 60 of those are going to constitute this thing that we call a minute? Interesting things happen as you begin to perceive the complete emptiness, the complete lack of substance of the world and all of its devices, including time. So, in the very first section of the text of A Course in Miracles, the section that starts out, "There is no order of difficulty in miracles," paragraph 13 has come to our attention, and thank you for bringing this up again. In the question, miracles undo the past in the present. So what's going on here? Let's take a wide-angle view of this and zoom all the way out to the supposed separation. And I emphasize supposed because it never occurred. This is a dream. Dream mechanism, dream mechanisms, internet dream mechanism. So what's going on is the Holy Spirit's making use of it right now. As the Holy Spirit, if you let him, makes use of your communication device. We're invited to allow the Holy Spirit to run the show, all of it, completely. To put the body to work, healing the mind. Miracles undo the past in the present. What is meant by this is the separation is a dream and it never occurred. Here, while we appear to be here, we're literally looking at a past event that never actually happened. But while we think it's real, it was over like that. It's said in many parts of A Course in Miracles that the song of heaven never missed a beat. Yeah. What we're experiencing as lifetimes of suffering, pain, excess activity, and frustration never actually happened. And we're waking up to that, which boggles the intellectual thinking mind. Which is why we're invited just to focus on the simplicity of the teachings, that there is no such thing as time. What we're looking at when we look upon the world, when we look at ourselves in the mirror and stuff, what we're looking at is the past. It's all gone, and what's going on is we're reviewing this lifetime. We're reviewing it under the guidance of our inner teacher so that we may learn our forgiveness lessons and realize, finally, that we're right at home in God, one with God, where we've always been. We've never left. Ideas leave not their source, capital S. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. Where are you? So we're waking up to this. You may find it helpful as you go through this course and your true forgiveness lessons and experience, which life presents you with all of the time. The miracle of true forgiveness undoes the past. That's collapsing time. It's learning a forgiveness lesson so that you don't have to repeat it. It releases the future, as it says here in paragraph 13. Chapter 1, section 1, the principles of miracles, paragraph 13 here, that talks about time specifically. It undoes the past. In the present, there is only the present. Now, this is very easy for us to grasp with the intellectual thinking mind. The intellectual thinking mind in which we've all invested in one form or another, and I've, by the way, invested heavily in it. I have one of those expensive degrees that's in a big, it's rather large, and it has a big, nice frame on it. There's a D at the end of it. I have one of those. So if you do too, you're not the only one that has invested very heavily in the values of the world and found them completely wanting, lacking, empty. So here, while we're conditioned to think of all of this as linear, it's very easy for the intellectual thinking mind to accept that the past is gone. It is. It's gone. We would readily admit that. We would also readily admit that the future is not here. That's easy to conceive. Yet we live our entire lives as though that were not true. Think about it. We spend most of our time, the overwhelmingly vast majority of our time, fretting about the past, going over past events that we would readily admit aren't here, but we treat them as though they were as we rehash it and often beat ourselves up for what we did or did not say or should have, could have, would have, should have, would have, could have. Very damaging thoughts. All of those things, what we could have done. And meanwhile, the present moment goes completely unnoticed by us. Same with the future. If we're worried about what we're going to do tomorrow or the next day or 15 minutes from now, we're not present. We're not in the present moment in our mind because we're fretting about something that may never happen. I mean, how many times have you stressed out and fretted and worried about something that never came to pass? It never took place. So we would readily admit that neither the past nor the future is actually here right now, yet we don't live our lives as though the present moment is all we've got. We waste it. So spiritual practice, and not just A Course in Miracles, invites us to return to the present moment. This is why meditation and mindfulness practices are a thing in many different world spiritual traditions. It is the present moment in which we forgive. It is the present moment in which we decide for God, for love, for truth, instead of the ego, instead of fear and illusion. It's right now when we make that decision. Right now. The more present we are, the more aware of our forgiveness opportunities we are, and the more apt we are to seize them, in a manner of speaking, of course, and forgive, truly. The more we do this, the quicker awakening comes, because time has collapsed. These are forgiveness lessons that we don't have to repeat. None of this ever happened. This is a dream. So, regarding the intellectual thinking mind that tries to go back in time, it does. I've had this conversation with myself. It's quite normal on the path. We try to strain our brain, so to speak, and go back to the time where we supposedly separated. And we can't come up with that time or that exact circumstance or that exact location or anything like that with the rational thinking mind. It is incapable of figuring that out. All we need to acknowledge with this intellectual thinking mind is that the separation never occurred. Yet that simplicity can freak us out. I mean, our conditioning is so thick that we think that there must be some other explanation for it, that can't possibly be so simple. Oh, but it is. The truth is very simple. We create all the complications ourselves. And perhaps you've engaged in what may seem interesting in the moment, but is ultimately a completely futile, absolutely futile response and process to try to think of when the supposed separation occurred. It didn't. So there's no point in straining our minds over when and why. It never took place. So, with the simplicity in words of these teachings, we're only pointing to the truth. No teacher can do more than point to the truth. Each one of us has to do our own forgiveness work. We awaken ourselves, and along the way, we recognize what this course talks about repeatedly is that there is only perfect oneness, and we've never been separate from our brother. We've never been separate from God, because there is no separation of any kind. The separation never occurred. So the more we repeat that, the better. And the more we have a conversation like this, the better, which makes it incredibly important that we're having this conversation right now. And critical, very, very important that you're tuning in to it. How we really learn is through experience. Words can only point to the truth. Truth can be experienced, in other words, known. This is knowledge. When the Course talks about knowledge of God, we simply know God. In other words, we experience God. We simply know. It's beyond words. We're just using words to communicate with each other here. It's beyond all of our concepts, time, space, species. It's beyond this concept for sure, isn't it? It's beyond all of them. Truth can simply be experienced, known. Even right here in the midst of all of our chaos and drama, we can experience the truth. We can experience it in glimpses, some longer than others, some very short perhaps, but it can be experienced. Once you begin to perceive the emptiness of the world, it's not possible to look on it in the same way ever again. It just is not. So here in the dream, you may also find it helpful to think about it this way. There is no time here as we're dreaming it. It appears to be linear, one moment after another in a measurable succession. We invented all of the measurements from thin air, literally from nothing, they're nothing. We made that all up. So having made it all up, we can choose to let it go, unmake it, in other words. What's really going on is that time is not linear. Here in the dream, it's all happening at once because it was nothing, instantaneous, never happened. So it appears to all be happening at once. So this can mean, if you want to go there, that you're living past and future selves at the same time. Yeah, it's not linear. That's the way that it actually functions in the dream, is that it's all happening at once. Now, you may or may not find that helpful. Again, the invitation is not to attempt to grasp that with the rational thinking mind. All we need to understand with this intellect of ours is that the separation never occurred. So any academic exercise that we engage in, where we rack our brains and trouble our mind with how could this possibly be? Well, it can't. It isn't real. It's not there. We can accept that simplicity. We can accept truth just as it is. And this, in our world of complication, is what we find so deeply challenging. This is our conditioning. It's our continued belief in the ego, this sense of individual separate self. And this is why it appears to take so much time for us to awaken. That is what time is for here in the dream. This is the use to which the Holy Spirit puts it, if you let him, for us to wake up, from the dream. And the more you allow yourself to entertain, even if it's just for a moment, the thought that time does not exist. There is no separation. The separation never occurred. The separation never occurred. If you've got a mala bead or a rosary, click, the separation never occurred. Try it if you want to. I don't know. Click, the separation never occurred. I mean, repeat, repeat, repeat. And along the way, it's very, very helpful to tune in to conversations such as this one, which is why I offer these, because what we all need is to ask questions, to have a forum to be able to do so, and to check in and to connect. That's what this whole thing is about, all of spirituality. We think we're separate. We need opportunities to join so that we can know that we're not. These connective opportunities on the path are so, so valuable. So I hope that this explanation of time has been of some use and some help to you. And, there's nothing that is going to stop that thinking mind from going to town on this. So the only thing that I could suggest is, if you're still attempting to go through this and figure it out with the mind that created the problem in the first place, accept a solution that's not of this world. The thought system of the Holy Spirit, which recognizes the complete illusion in all of this. As always, you're invited to connect with our inner teacher and cultivate that relationship. And what we all can and should do is allow him to run the show, all of it, to get out of our own way. Because attempting to solve the problem, separation, with the mindset that created it is not going to work, is it? We can see this in all aspects of life. You can't solve a problem with the mindset that created it in the first place. You'll just get little different variations of the same attempted solution that never solved the problem. The solution's got to come from a different frame of a mind, a different thought system. Enter this different thought system. All right, so hopefully this has been of help to you. If you have further questions on this or any other topic, please feel welcome to leave them here. And I invite all of you who have not yet subscribed to please do so. This is the subscription arrow over here. That arrow in the corner of your screen is a prompt. When you click or hover over that, you'll be invited to subscribe and join us. And I hope you'll do that. Thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed. We get several videos here a week for the sake of consistency, because spiritual practice isn't just for 1 hour on Sundays. It's not just for 5 minutes a day or anything like that, but if that's all you have to devote to it, fantastic. It's a constant opportunity, because we always have the present moment. So we will be presented with the opportunities to forgive and forgive truly, and to, by so doing, shorten time, which never existed in the first place. And we realize that along the way. All right. So thank you, as always, for tuning in and for joining me. Again, comments and questions are more than welcome, and I will see you all very soon.